Hey guys, welcome to Homework Help for Year 5, Term 2, Week 1. On page 6, we have the logic grid. It says Mrs. Parker and Mr. Duke are making a fitness profile of all their students. Their data shows that Grant, Mary, and Garrett have the highest score for either the 1 mile run, the pull-ups, or the sit-ups. The students are 6, 7, and 9 years old. Sprint through these clues to find out the student's age and in what activities they excel. The clues are, so it says the girl who excels in sit-ups, the boy who is 6 years old, and the boy who excels at the 1 mile run are all good sports whether they win or lose. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this grid and I'm going to establish which names are boy names and which names are girl names. So we can see that Mary is a girl, and Grant will be the boy, and Garrett will be another boy. Okay, so the first clue lists 3 people. It says the first person is the girl who excels in sit-ups. Well, since there's only one girl, then that means that the sit-ups is going to be Mary. Mary does the sit-ups. Okay, which means that Grant doesn't do sit-ups and Garrett doesn't do sit-ups. Okay. And then it says the next person is the boy who is 6 years old. Okay, so we have a boy who's 6 years old and the boy who excels at the 1 mile run. So these are 2 different people. We got the girl, the boy, and the boy, okay? So the boy who is 6 years old cannot be the same boy who excels at the 1 mile run. So the boy who is 6 years old, so I'm going to write here, boy who is 6 years old, he's not going to be the one doing the 1 mile run. Now, there's only 2 activities left. The sit-ups is already taken by Mary. That means that there's only the 1 mile run left and the pull-ups left. If the boy who is 6 years old is not doing the 1 mile run, that means he has to be doing the pull-ups. So this person here, 6 years old, this person must be doing the pull-ups. And the other person is doing the 1 mile run. The other boy who's doing the 1 mile run. Okay. Now the next, let's look at the next clue. Mary is older than Garrett, but younger than the boy who excels at the 1 mile run. So you got Mary, and you got Garrett, and you have Grant. Okay, so we know that Mary is the middle, is the person who is aged in the middle, okay? It says Mary is older than Garrett, so Garrett must be 6, Mary must be 7. But she's younger than the boy who excels at 1 mile run. That means that Grant must be 9. Okay, so from this, we can just tick from the boxes. The Garrett is 6 years old. So Garrett is 6, Mary is 7, and Grant is 9. So we're going to put the cross on all the other ones. Now, we know also from the first clue that the boy who is 6 years old does the pull-ups. So because Garrett is 6 years old, right, he's the one doing the pull-ups, which means that the 1 mile run is done by Grant. He's the one who excels at the 1 mile run. So there you go. You don't have to put the crosses if you don't want to. That might make it look a lot cleaner. Okay, and also we don't really need to use the bottom part of this table. Okay, so really I just use the clues from these A and B, and I have to use a bit of logic, and I can fill out this table. And from the table, I can see who's 6 years old and who's doing what, and who's 7 years old and who's doing pull-ups, and etc. Okay, now that's done. Let's look at the question 2, cross multiply. Now, just because it says cross multiply doesn't mean I'm always going to use cross multiply. I'm just going to use the simplest method to find my answer. So the first question says a 14-meter tall tree. So we have a tree column, and a shadow column. Okay, so we have a 14-meter tree casts a shadow of 6 meters. if another tree casts a 18-meter long shadow, so I put the 18 under the shadow because it says 18-meter long shadow. How tall is this tree? Okay, so what's happening is this. You have a tree and it casts a shadow. So this 14-meter tree casts a shadow of 6 meters. Now you have another tree. Now we know this tree is going to be taller, okay? Because it casts a longer shadow. It casts an 18-meter shadow. Now from 6 to 18, we know that this tall tree has a shadow that's 3 times longer than the smaller tree. Okay, because 3 times 6 is 18. That means the tall tree has a shadow that's 3 times longer than the smaller tree. So that means the tree must be also 3 times taller. So how tall is a tree? Well, let's work it out. 3 times 14. 3 times 4 is 12. 1 times 3 is 3 plus 1 is 4. That means the height of this tree must be 42 meters. And that's the answer. Question B. Ellie works for 3 hours. Okay, so this is her hours. And this is how much she gets paid. Let's compare these two. So for 3 hours, she gets 240. Now the question is how much money will she get for 9 hours? Well, you can see that from 3 to 9, that's 3 times longer, right? 3 hours compared to 9 hours, she's worked 3 times longer, which means she should earn 3 times more amount of money. So all we need to do is do 3 times 240 and you'll get your answer here. I'll leave you to do that. Question C. Now we're comparing Australian dollars to US dollars. So let's write AUD for Australian dollars and USD for United States of American dollars. Okay, so we have 10 Australian dollars is worth 15 US dollars. How much American dollars can I exchange for 4 AU? So if we had 4, how much would this be? Okay, so let's try cross multiply now. Because from 10 to 4, it's not, we have to divide it by something, but it's not an easy number. It was 10 to 5, we can divide by 2, but it's 10 to 4, so I don't know what that's going to be. So let's use cross multiply. Maybe that will help. Okay, so to do cross multiply, we say 10 times the unknown number. So 10 times something. I'm going to put over here. 10 times something is equal to 4 times 15. 4 times 15. Now 4 times 15 is 60. So 10 times something is equal to 60. So if you don't know what that something is, you can work backwards. You can say 60 divided by 10, and that'll give you your something. And we know that 60 divided by 10, well, that's going to be easy. That's equal to 6. So for 4 Australian dollars, we're going to get 6 US dollars. Okay, that's the answer. Let's move on to the next page. All right. Now let's look at the workload. It says it takes 8 men 3 days to build a toy car. So I'm gonna put the number of men's and the number of days. We're comparing these two. So we have 8 men. It takes 3 days to build a toy car. Now the question is, how long would it take for 4 men? Well, you have half the amount of people from 8 to 4. We're dividing by 2. You got half the amount of people, right? Now, if you have half the amount of people, I mean, if you think about it, if you have less people, that means it's going to take you longer, right? So if you have half the people, it should take you twice as long to do the work. So 2 times 3 will take you 6 days. So therefore, the answer is 6 days. Now let's have a look at the next one. Actually, I can do a little demonstration of this one. So I'm just going to write the answer here, 6 days. Okay, so imagine if you have, eight people. Okay, so what this is imagine you have 8 people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. And imagine each day the person can only complete this much amount of work. So in the beginning, after this is day 1, okay? Day 1, everyone does the first part. Okay? Day 2, everyone does the second part. And day 3, everyone does the third part. And in the end, you have 8 people complete the work in 3 days. Now imagine if there's only 4 people. So let me just rub this out. Whoops. So imagine if there's only 4 people. Okay. So that means, let's see how long it takes. So in the first day, so in day 1, in the first day, we're going to have this much completed. In the second day, we're going to have this much completed. In the third day, this much completed. So 3 days. 3 days pass and only half the job has been done. Now let's continue. After 4 days, they've completed this much. They move from here. So let me just, after 4 days, these guys go from here, they move over to this side and they complete this work. So day 4, they do this. Day 5, they do this. Day 6, they do this. So it takes them 6 days to complete the whole job. And that makes sense because if you half the amount of people, then you're going to double the amount of time. Okay? So that's just the graphical illustration of what's actually happening here. All right, let's look at question B. So in here, I'm going to put men's and days. We usually compare these two, or trees and shadows. So it says it takes 6 men, 7 days. How long would it take 5 men to paint the same house? So 5 people. So 6 people take 7 days. Now from 6 to 5, it's pretty hard to get to, okay? We have to divide it by something, but we don't know what it is. It's going to be some sort of a decimal number or something. It's not a whole number. If it was 6 to 3, then that's easy. That's divided by 2, okay? But if it's 6 to 5, I'm not sure what that is. So let's not go from 6 to 5. Let's put a 1 in the middle. So we can go 6 to 1, a lot easier. Okay, from 6 men to 1 man, we just divide it by 6 people. Now, if you divide it by 6, on the other side, you must times 6. So if you have 1/6 of the amount of people, that means you're going to have the work, the amount of time it takes is going to be 6 times longer. Okay, so 6 times 7 is 42. One person by himself is going to take 42 days. Now, from 1 to 5, we're going to multiply by 5, which means we're going to divide it by 5. So we're going to do 42 divided by 5. And normally I would write 42 divided by 5 like this. But I like to leave it into a fraction. Okay, it'd be a lot easier to deal with. So let's leave it as a fraction. Now this is an improper fraction. I want to turn it into mixed numerals. So 42 divided by 5. Let's see, how many 5s in 42? Now there's 8 5s in 42, so it'd be 8 whole numbers. And remainder, 2. So we 2 over 5. So it'll be, that means it's going to take 8 and 2/5 days. Now 2/5, if you already know, if you don't know, it's okay, you can leave the answer like this. If you do know, 2/5 is equal to 0.4. So you could also write this as 8.4 days. Either answer is correct, okay? And there's your answer for that one. These ones, okay. I'm going to do question, let's see, question. All right, I'll just quickly do through this one then. 43.4 divided by 2. Just put it into long division like this, okay? the first one we say 4 divided by 2, so that's 2. And then we say 2 times 2 is 4. And we can minus it. And we get 0. No remainders. So bring the next number down, 3. 3 divided by 2, that's 1. 1 times 2 is 2. Minus it, you get 1. Okay, and then bring the next number down, 4. So that's 14 divided by 2, that's 7. 2 times 7 is 14, minus, no remainder. And we got no more numbers to bring down. So therefore, it's 217 with no remainders. Now, we need to put the decimal place. Okay, so 43.4 divided by 2 should be 20 something. So therefore, we put the decimal place here. That's 21.7. If I put the decimal place on this side, it'll be 2 point something. It doesn't make sense. Okay, so we should be, decimal place should be here. So 21.7. All right, let's go through the next one. Now to this one, if you want to multiply it, I want to do 4 times 2 instead, because that's easier. So I'm going to get 8.0. Now, to go from 0.4 to 4, I must move the decimal place to the right 1 time. And to go from 0.2 to the whole number 2, I must move the decimal place to the right 2 times. So altogether, I moved the decimal place to the right 3 times. So whatever answer I get, I must move the decimal place back 3 times. Okay, so here's my answer, 8. Now I'm going to move the decimal place back 3 times. So let's just put in some zeros to see where the decimal place is going to land. So here we go, 1, 2, 3. Decimal place lands right there. So the answer is 0.008 and 0. But we don't need to write the 0 after that. Just leave it at that, it's fine. Now, if you want to add or subtract decimals, make sure that you put the decimal place in the right column. So 11.2 plus with 3 and plus with 0.22. Now, what's wrong with this? The way I wrote it. Well, as you see, the 3 is a whole number. Okay, so 3 cannot be here. 3 must be here in the whole number column. Then we can put a decimal place and put 0, 0. This one has no number, just put a 0 there, and you can add them up. Okay, so a lot of students are just writing the 3 here, and that's wrong. 3 has to go here where the decimal is. And as you can see, the decimal lines up in a column like that. And now you can add it, no problem. Same with this question D. You make sure that the decimal place is in the same column. So 0.03, as you can see, decimal place is lined up. Now, if you want to minus it, don't forget to put the 0 here. Okay, next question. You got 1/5 plus 2/7. Now, if you want to add these, this is adding fractions. When you add a minus fraction, you must make sure that the bottom number is going to equal to the same. So what number is divisible by 5 and 7? I can think of 35. And we're going to put add. Okay. So to turn a 5 into a 35, I must multiply by 7. And to turn a 7 into 35, I must multiply by 5. Whoops. So if I multiply the bottom by 7, I must multiply the top by 7. And if you multiply the bottom by 5, I must multiply the top by 5. So the new fraction is going to be 7 over 35 and 10 over 35. Add them up, get the answer. Moving on to the next page. All right. Now we're going to do minus here. So again, this is minusing fractions. So you must make sure the bottom number has to be the same. So I can think of what number can be divided by 12 and 5. I can think of 60. All right, and the top number, well, to go from 12 to 60, I'm multiplying this by 5, which means the top number must also be multiplied by 5, so I'm going to get 25. To go from 5 to 60, I multiply by 12. So that means I multiply top by 12, so you get 12. And get the answer there. Question G. Increase 500 by 5%, which what it means is that you're going to get 500 and you're going to add a 5% of that 500. So we need to know what 5% of 500 is. What number is that? How much is that? So let's turn this one into a fraction. So 5% is 5 over 100. Of means times, and 500 is a whole number. So 500 over 1. Now, let's start simplifying. Because it's a multiply question, I can start dividing the top by 10 and the bottom by 10. So correct at the 0, 1 0 from the top, 1 0 from the bottom. 1 0 from the top, 1 0 from the bottom. So what you have left is 5 times 5 over 1 times 1, which is 25 over 1. 25 over 1 is a whole number, which is just 25. So what that means is that all of this is equal to 25. So what you're going to get is 500 plus 25. Get the answer. Now the next question is, find the amount if 40% is 80. So 40%, let's turn this one into a fraction first. So 40% is 40 over 100, which is 4 over 10, which is 2 over 5. So imagine 2/5 of some number. So let's divide this into 5 pieces. So imagine 2/5 of some number is 84. So what's the whole number? We need to find what 1/5 is. So 2/5 is of some number is 84. So 1/5 would be a half. 1/5 will be a half of 84, right? From 2/5 to 1/5, we divide it by 2. So we divide this one by 2, you get 42. So 1/5 is 42. That means this is 42 here. So that means if you want to find the whole amount, 5/5, just multiply 42 by 5. So 42 times 5, and that'll give you your answer. Question I. How many years in 3 scores and 7 years? Remember, 1 score is equal to 20 years. So you got 3 scores and 7 years. How much altogether? Work it out. Question J. Change 62% into a simple fraction. So 62 percentage, we change a fraction, we just put it over 100. And now simplify it. Okay, next one. Change 5 over 7 into a percentage. Okay, so 5 over 7, to change the percentage, first you need to change it into a decimal. And then after decimal, we can change it to percentage. Okay, so how to change a decimal? Well, we're going to do 5 divided by, that's right. 5 divided by 7. Now, normally we can't do that. So let's put in the decimal and some zeros. Okay, first we say, what's 5 divided by 7? Well, that's 0. Okay, so nothing. Okay, let's put a decimal place here. Now we say, what's 50 divided by 7? 50 divided by 7 will be 7. 7 times 7 is 49. Take it away from 50 and you get remainder of 1. Bring the next number down, which is a 0. Now 10 divided by 7. 10 divided by 7 is 1. 1 times 7 is 7. Take it away, you get a remainder of 3. Okay, now we bring the next number down. So that's 30. 30 divided by 7 is 4. 7 times 4 is 28. Take it away, and you get a remainder of 2. Bring the next number down, and so on. 20 divided by 7. 20 by 7 is, I think, 2. 2 times 7 is 14. Remainder 6. Okay. Now, we don't need to go any further. We're just going to keep it at this one. Okay, so that means that the answer from fraction into decimal, you're going to get 0.7142. Now to change a decimal into a percentage, all you got to do is times it by 100. And when you times it by 100, the decimal place moves to the right 2 times. So the answer is 71.42%. It says to the nearest percentage, which means it's 71%. Okay. Next question. We're adding two mixed numerals together. So what I do is I add the whole numbers. So whole numbers. We'll do it in two parts. We add the whole numbers, then we add the fractions. So the whole numbers is 4 plus 2, which equals to 6. Now let's add the fractions. 1 over 4 plus 1 over 11. Okay. Now so the bottom numbers we need to make the same because we're adding fractions. So we can make it both into 44. Now to turn a 4 into 44, I multiply by 11, which means I multiply top by 11, which is 11 over 44. Now to turn 11 into 44, we must multiply that by 4, which means the top must be multiplied by 4, so you get 4. So you're going to get 15 over 44. So now we combine the whole number and the fraction together to get 6 and 15 over 44. Done. When you want to multiply fractions that is mixed numeral, we need to change it into improper first. Okay, so let's do this. The first one will be 1 times 6 is 6 plus 1 is 7, 7 over 6. The next one is 2 times 8 is 16, 16 plus 5 is 21 over 8. Now we multiply these together. Okay, but before we multiply, we try and see if we can simplify something. So I can't do 7 and 8, but I can do 6 and 21. I can divide this one and this one by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2, 21 divided by 3 is 7. So now, when you multiply these together, you're going to get 7 times 7 over 2 times 8. And you can get the answer there. Next question, again, we need to change this one into improper fraction. Okay, we cannot just do this directly. So, to do this, we say 6 times 2 is 12, 12 plus 1 is 13, 13 over 2 divided by 2 over 5. When you want to divide fraction by fraction, you need to flip this one upside down. We keep the first one the same. So 13 over 2, and this is 5 over 2, and we times. Get your answer there, and you're done with this page. Okay, next one, the multiple choice questions. Now, 55% is going to equal to something over 20. 55% is the same as how many parts out of 20. Okay, so that's what the question is asking us. So let's just do our normal converting 55% into a fraction. Now 55% into a fraction is 55 over 100. Okay, now that is equal to something over 20. Okay, well let's have a look. From 100 to 20, what did I do? I divided by something, right? I divided by 5, which means the top number must be divided by 5 as well. What you do to the bottom number, you must do to the top number. So you can get your answer there. Whatever that number is, that's the answer. Next one. Okay, it says round that number to the nearest dollar. Okay, that's too easy. I'm going to move on. Next one. 40% of 4 kilometers. 40%. 40% is equal to, let's turn it into a fraction first. So 40 over 100. We can cross out the 0 from the top and from the bottom. We get 4 out of 10. Simplify it further, divide top and bottom by 2, you get 2 over 5. So you want to find 2/5 of 4 kilometers. Okay, so 2/5 times 4 kilometers, or 4,000 meters. Actually, you know what? It might be easier if we just leave it as 40 over 100. Might be easier there. 40 over 100. Because when we leave it like this, we can cross out the zeros. Like 1 from the top, 1 from the bottom, 1 from the top, 1 from the bottom. Also, the 4,000 is going to be 4,000 over 1 because 4,000 is the whole number. Okay, so on the top you're going to get 40 times 40. At the bottom you're going to get 1 times 1. So you work out what that is and get the answer there. And it'll be in meters. Okay, next one. The sum of 13 and the product of 8 and 5 is the same as. So the sum of 13 and something, and the product of 5 and 8. Product means times. The sum means add. Okay, so can you figure out which one the answer is? Question 5, the square root of 5 squared is 25 plus 12 squared is 144. That's the square root of 169, which equals to 13. 13 times 13 is 169. So the answer is B. Now the next one says the diagram shows the net of a box without a lid. Measurements are in centimeters. What would be the volume of the box? So imagine if we construct this box. This is the net. So let's fold the sides up and let's see what we get. You got, looks something like this. This will be your 20 from here. The side width will be 12 and the height will be 4. Alright, there's your box. Now it says find the volume of this box. So volume is equal to length times width times height. Here's your length, here's your width, here's your height. Find out what the volume is. Question 7. A piece of string is glued around the 4 sides of the box to reinforce it. What will be the length of the string in centimeters? So imagine if we have a string. Oops. Imagine if I have a string and I put a string around the box. So I tie the string there, 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 and then there. So I tie a string around the box. The question is, how long does this string need to be? Okay. So if you think about it, imagine that the front part, this part here, that's going to be 20 centimeters, right? Then it's going to be 12. Then it's going to be another 20 for the back. And then it's going to be 12 again for the side. So how long is it? Just add the numbers up. 20 plus 12 plus 20 plus 12. Get the answer. Okay. Moving on to the last page. Okay, it says Ladri wrote down the counting numbers in 4 columns as shown. Okay. Oh, what happened to my... Oh. Ladri wrote down the counting numbers in 4 columns as shown. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, and then it stops. It goes to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and so on. All right. So this pattern continues. So we're going to have 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, so on. All the way down. If Ladri continued this pattern, what will be the sum of the numbers in the row containing 1024? Okay. So we know that at some point, let's think of these as columns. Let me rub this out. Whoop. Okay. So let's say this is the first column, the second column, third column, and the fourth column. And up here, I'm going to have the remainder. Okay. All right, so now what's happening is that there at some point, if you continue the pattern, right, all the way down, at some point you're going to get 1,020. There's going to be a number 1,024. Now the question is, wherever that number is, let's say the number was in here, 1,024. You have to add all of the numbers in that row and see what the answer equals to. Okay, and it says what's the answer if you add all the columns in that row. So first of all, we need to know which column the 1024 is going to be in. Is it going to be in the first column like this, 1024? Which means the next number will be, sorry, let me just write it down here. Imagine if it was in the first column, it would be 1024, right? The next number will be 1025. Next number will be 1020, 1026 and 1027. If it was in the first row, okay, so let's add up all the numbers up. So 1024 plus 1025 plus 1026 and 1027. 4 plus 5 is 9. 9 plus 6 is 15. 15 plus 7. 15 plus 7 is 22. And this will be 10, this will be 1, this will be 4. So the answer will be 4,102 if you add those numbers. But what happens if 1024 happened to be in the second column? So it'd be 1024 was here. That means that 1025 is here, 1026 is here, and 1023 is here. So this one, the sum would, let's just put the sum here, 4102, okay? If the 1024 was in the second column. Now, if you're in the second column, you're going to get 1023 plus 1024, 1025, 1026. Okay, so this would be 4 plus 3 is 7. 7 plus 5 is 12. 12 plus 6 is 18. Okay, this would be 9. So if you have this, the sum would be 4,098. You see, it depends on where the 1024 is going to be. If it's in the first column, it has a different sum. If it's in the second column, it has a different sum. If it's in the third column, it will have even another different sum. So our goal is to find out which column is 1024 going to land in. So to do that, we'll just look at the numbers here and see if we can find a pattern. From the fourth column, you can see that these are all multiples of 4. Okay, so 4, 8, 12, 16. The next one should be 20. Okay. Because they're multiples of 4, if we take a number, let's say the number was 32. If I take 32 and I divide it by 4, right, I'm going to get 32 by 4 is 8, remainder 0. Anytime there's a remainder 0, it's going to land the fourth column. So I'm going to put a remainder 0. Here, the top one is just tell you which remainder it is. So if we have a remainder 0, that means it'll be in the fourth column. There you go. Now, if we have a number, let's look at the first column. Let's try 5. 5 divided by 4 is equal to 1, remainder 1. Let's look at the next one. 9. 9 divided by 4 is equal to 2, remainder 1. Let's look at 13. 13 divided by 4 is 3, remainder 1. See, as you can see, it always has a remainder 1. So whenever there's a remainder 1, we know it's going to be in the first column. So any number that if I divide it by 4 and have remainder 1, I know it's going to be in the first column. Let's look at the second column. Let's look at 6. 6 divided by 4 equals to 1, remainder 2. 10. 10 divided by 4 is equal to 2, remainder 2. 14. 14 divided by 4 is equal to 3, remainder 2. As you can see, always remainder 2. So anytime the number is divided by 4, remainder 2, you know it's going to be in the second column. And if you keep going like that, you'll know that the third column has a remainder 3. And the fourth column has a remainder 0. So all we got to do now that we have that information, we just take this number, which is 1,000 and, whoops. Now we just take the number, what was the number? 1024. So we take 1024, we divide it by 4 and see what remainder we get. Then we know which column it's going to be. Okay, so 1 divided by 4 you can't do, so let's do 10 divided by 4. 10 divided by 4 is 2. 2 times 4 is 8. Okay, take it away, you get 2, remainder 2. Okay. Now, let's bring the next number down, the 2. So 22 divided by 4. 22 divided by 4 is 5. 4 times 5 is 20. Take away, you have a remainder 2. Bring the next number down, 4. 24 divided by 4 is 6. 4 times 6 is 24. Take it away, you have 0 remainder. So that means when you do 1024 divided by 4, you get 256, remainder 0. Now, since it's a remainder 0, we know that it's going to be in the last column, okay? The fourth column, which has a remainder 0. So therefore, 1024 is going to be some in the fourth column. We know for sure, which means that this number is 1023, this is 1022, and 1021. So now all we got to do to find the answer is just add up these numbers, okay? So let's do this one here, 1021 plus 1022, 1023, and 1024. Add the answers up and you will get, let me just rub this out for a second. Add them up and you'll get one of these answers, A, B, C, or D, okay? So you can do the work there. Question 9 is easy. All you gotta do is count. It says a company logo is shown in the diagram. If the unshaded parts are the same width as the shaded parts, what fraction of the square is shaded? Okay, all you gotta do is count how many black squares compared to how many squares there are altogether. And you get some sort of a fraction. And maybe you can simplify that fraction. So you find out what the answer is. Okay, so I hope that helps.